All right, today we're going to crack open the researcher's toolbox. We're not just talking about what people do, but the really interesting part, why they do it. This is all about digging past the numbers to get to the real stories behind human behavior. So let's jump right in. I mean, really think about it. What makes you grab one book over the other? Is it the cool cover art, the catchy title, or maybe something a friend just told you about? See, questions like that, the ones about our motivations and feelings, you just can't answer them with a simple yes or no. You've got to go deeper. And that is exactly where qualitative data comes into play. To get to the bottom of these tricky why questions, researchers have this awesome set of tools made specifically for gathering that rich, descriptive info. Today, we're going to look at 4 of the heavy hitters. So, what is this stuff really? Well, think of qualitative data as the story behind the numbers. It's less about counting how many books were checked out and more about understanding that amazing feeling of finding the perfect book. It's all those juicy, descriptive details that a spreadsheet just can't give you. Yeah, this is totally different from, say, a sterile lab experiment. This research happens out in the wild, in real-world places. And instead of giant surveys sent to thousands, you're often looking at smaller groups to get super rich, deep information. And here's the key part. The researcher isn't just a clipboard holder. They're the main instrument, the one who has to interpret all the subtleties of what's going on. Okay, let's pop open that toolbox. Tool number 1 is something you probably already get, the interview. It's as simple as it sounds. It's all about having a real conversation to hear someone's personal stories and get their unique point of view. But you know, not all interviews are created equal. You've got your structured interview, which is basically like reading from a script. Every single person gets the exact same questions in the same order. Great for comparing answers. Then, way over on the other side, you've got the unstructured interview. It's a totally free-flowing chat, perfect for when you're just starting to explore a topic. But for a lot of researchers, the sweet spot is right in the middle, the semi-structured interview. You have a guide, sure, but you also have the freedom to go off script, ask follow-up questions, and really dig in. And here's a perfect real-world example. Let's say you want to know how librarians are coping with some new automation software. You're not just going to send a survey asking them to rate it from 1 to 10, right? No way. You'd sit down with them and talk about it, about their frustrations, what's working, what's not, how it's really changing their day. That's the power of a good interview. All right, tool number 2 takes that ideal of a conversation and scales it up a bit. Instead of talking one-on-one, what if you got a whole group of people talking together? Well, that's what we call a focus group. So you get maybe 6 to 10 people in a room, and you have a moderator there to kind of guide the conversation. But the real magic happens in the interaction between people. One person shares a story, and that sparks an idea for someone else. And then another person chimes in. And pretty soon you've got this amazing dynamic conversation where everyone is building off each other's ideas. So you might be asking, why do this instead of just a bunch of individual interviews? For one, it's super efficient. You're getting a ton of different perspectives in the time it might take to do just 1 or 2 interviews. And that group dynamic we just talked about, it's huge. It can bring out new ideas and show you where people agree or disagree in a way that a one-on-one chat just can't. Okay, for our third tool, we're going to switch things up. We're going to put away the questions for a minute. Instead of asking people what they do, what if we just watch them? This is the core idea behind the observation method. You're just systematically watching and recording what people do as it happens in their natural environment. Now, there are a couple of main ways to go about this, and each has its pros and cons. First, there's participant observation. That's where the researcher actually becomes part of the group. Like they get a job at the library circulation desk to see how things work from the inside. You get an amazing insider's view, but you might also change how people act just by being there. The other way is non-participant observation. Here, the researcher is basically a fly on the wall, just watching from a distance. It's more objective, for sure, but you might miss out on some of the important context. And just like with interviews, you can record what you see in different ways. Structured observation is like having a checklist. You're just tallying up specific things you're looking for, like how many people ask for help. Then there's unstructured observation, which is the total opposite. You're taking wide-open, descriptive notes, trying to capture the whole story of what's going on, like describing a person's entire journey, from walking into the library to finding a book. Okay, our last tool is pretty cool because you don't actually have to talk to or even watch a single person. Instead, you become a detective, looking for clues and stories that are already out there, hidden in plain sight. This is called document analysis. And when we say document, I mean the term is super broad. It could be anything. We're talking official stuff like annual reports and policy documents, but also meeting notes, website pages, emails, even old archival materials. All of these things are like little windows into what a place is really all about. Its culture, its priorities, its whole history. So there you have it, the 4 main tools in our qualitative toolkit. Let's do a quick recap. You've got interviews for those deep, personal stories. Focus groups for exploring group dynamics and brainstorming. Observation to see how people actually behave. And document analysis to uncover the stories that are already written down. Each one gives you a totally different angle to attack that big question, why? So really, each of these tools is just a different lens for seeing the world. The next time you're just sitting in a coffee shop or walking through a library or even just in a meeting at work, look around. Start thinking like a researcher. What questions could you ask here? What could you learn just by watching what's happening? What story is unfolding right in front of you, just waiting to be told?